Welcome to this explainer. Okay, picture this. You're standing right at the edge of the world, and you can literally feel this heavy, almost cosmic cold settling into your bones. We're going to be taking a deep dive into an incredible graphic novel landscape today, kind of stepping into the shoes of a weary, eternal philosopher. It's a motion comic journey straight into the terrifying architecture of the void. And this isn't just a story, it's really a philosophical descent into absolute honesty, a place where the masks we wear every day are violently stripped away. Right, so to set the scene, we find ourselves on the floor of the uncanny forest. High above us, the vertical blade of a cosmic event they call the Great Noon is just starting to tilt, and it's casting these incredibly long, totally distorted shadows all across the ground. And standing right there in the middle of it is our guide, the Jester. When he whispers, we have reached the zenith of our own negation. His bells sound exactly like the heavy closing of a leaden door. It sets a pretty chilling, inevitable tone for everything that's about to unfold. Act 1. The Edge of Negation. Up here on a pinnacle platform, the verdant dragon uncoils, sensing a massive shift. The silence of heaven has actually transitioned into this deafening roar of indifference. Now, you really have to look at how the Great Star frames the central conflict of this whole fable. High up in the sky, the star is vibrating right through the stone with a deep, cool blue register, something that predates humanity completely. It represents the fact of burning, which is basically precise indifference and unwavering truth. But the Jester, he contrasts this against meaning. He argues that meaning is really just a human instrument. It's a tool, right? A tool we just kind of invented to hide from the terrifying, godless architecture of reality. So the star tells our travelers, I fall on the curtain and the closed side of it. What does that mean? Well, it illuminates the noble widow and the ignoble heir with the exact same precise indifference. Light doesn't pick and choose the surface it touches, right? It just burns. And this realization hits the Jester incredibly hard, because it proves that the dark was never truly empty, and the light, it doesn't wait around for the deserving, it just simply exists. Turning away from that pinnacle platform, our trio starts what is a truly grueling descent. It happens in 3 brutal steps. Step 1 requires stripping away the very muscle memory of faith. Step 2 demands unmaking the self entirely in fire. And finally, step 3 is the actual entry into the singular, swirling darkness of the kingdom below. So it's a literal descent into the absolute honesty, where the true thing actually lives. Act 2. The Crucible of the Void. As we push much deeper into the shadow side interiors, the immense pressure of absolute reality introduces a terrifying new figure. This is where we really get a front row seat to the verdant dragon's inner turmoil. The beast actually embraces this godless, rotting reality as its only true home. It completely identifies sin and destruction as its proper element, and it openly mocks the architect who glued the whole world together with immutable debt. The beast essentially hisses that the senseless horror of this reality, well, it's the only place it has ever truly belonged. Faced with this absolutely terrifying apathy, the Jester asks a really grounding question into the whispering wind. It's such a profound moment. He's asking if they're just walking straight into a void that literally couldn't care less that they exist. Is our journey merely a descent into a mouth that will never speak our names? But there's incredible depth here, because this cry into an empty cathedral, the very act of asking the question actually provides the necessary ember of discomfort. The primal honesty of the earth stands firm, and the asking itself gives them the solid ground they desperately need to keep walking. And then, enter the seraphim gargoyle. It spreads these massive wings of living flame, basically announcing itself as the fire of recreation that was sent to melt away our convenience. It completely redefines the very architecture of human existence. Think about it. The soul isn't some beautiful, pristine vessel. Instead, it is merely the shape of the failures we've chosen to hide. It's the shattering of masks that finally reveals our hidden appetites. The gargoyle actually brings some terrifying proof to back this up. It shares evidence it gathered from 300 years of just watching the kingdom slowly rot, calling it the holy blight of revelation. It urges our travelers to understand that true elevation is only found by going down, descending into the fire where the self is finally unmade. We have to carry the light through the grotesque door simply because a defended soul won't let anything else in. And maybe the most chilling part? It warns us to fear the things that complete the soul, rather than the things that destroy it in silence. Act 3. The Honest Bridge. This is where a profound and totally permanent transformation takes hold. So the Jester evolves. He manages to connect the vanity of the kingdom above to the crushing, terrifying weight of the forest below. He completely stops being this loud, truth-telling monster and becomes a silent witness. He holds the sacred space of the vigil, where the soul has to make its ultimate choice. And now he speaks from inside the wound itself, talking only to those who are cold enough and awake enough to actually hear it. Plus, he's clutching this violet coin in his gauntlet. It's a heavy weight that validates the reality of his continued walking.
Using his newly softened ember voice, the Jester finally acknowledges his true role. You remember the great star from Act 1, right? The star's light was just too direct, way too indifferent. The Jester realizes that his very presence is the reach that allows that light to fall on the hidden surfaces the star's direct illumination could never, ever find. He says, "I am not the origin of truth, but merely the angle at which it falls." He is the angle.
Our trio's final destination is the Valley of Shadows. Now, this isn't some generic fantasy realm. It's a place of uncanny, almost mundane horror that anyone who has ever lost the script of their life would recognize instantly. In this place, human darkness functions with an unsettling, clockwork precision. The Jester points out that the Shadow Beast here, they don't hunt you. They commute. They literally commute between houses that look exactly like your childhood home. Everything is just deeply wrong. The proportions of the world are off by a fraction of an inch, and when you look into the windows, they reflect only the back of your head. Down in this valley, our trio stops being separate entities, just, holding up mirrors to reality. The dragon uncoils, fully accepting its role as the very ground upon which future instruments of revelation are going to stand. They become agents of a dark refraction. Together, they're making every hidden face in this valley totally readable, marching down the road toward the absolute honesty of existence. It's a place where reality is definitely no longer a joke, but a living, breathing revelation. And that really brings us to the end of our descent. As the Jester's bells ring out one final time, he uses his void register to whisper a single question out into the absolute cold of the ledge. Sure, it's a question for the characters in the story, but honestly, it's a question for us to take away. As we strip away meaning, as we unmake the self, as we stand face to face with the precise indifference of the universe, who are you when no one is recording you?